Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited. Amy Deanne is back. Today, we're talking about her Finding Your Truest You series that we've been unfolding here with this podcast, a guide to becoming your authentic self. Welcome back to the show, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Let me tell the audience a little bit about you, the ones that are just joining and listening for the first time. Amy Deanne dedicated her early years to being a mom and wife. After facing a separation and ultimately a divorce after 29 years of marriage, Amy realized for the first time that she didn't know who she was. Like many other mothers, she had to put her own wants and needs aside to raise her children. Now that her children are adults and no longer dependent on her as they once did, Amy found herself on a unique journey of self-discovery. While continuing her career in corporate America, Amy also sought an outlet for her creativity and started a side business called Resilient. Initially, that was created as a craft venture. Resilient has evolved into something much more meaningful, contributing a chapter to the Amazon best-selling book, Shine Your Light, was the cherry on the top of her healing journey. Now, Amy focuses on connecting with women across multiple platforms, empowering them to discover their truest selves. Amy exemplifies the idea that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. And I heard her say to me personally the other day, just do it. Welcome back, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's see. Let's look at our parts. We
All
had,
right.
so today's part four.
It
Today's
is.
part four. Do you remember the parts so far? Can you name them?
Absolutely. So it coincides with the book that I'm writing that will come out later this year. So the first one was trusting yourself, and it's kind of an acronym, Truest You. So we're going down the list. Trusting yourself is kind of focusing on, your gut instincts and listening to the small voice in your head and kind of going with what you're feeling. The second part of that was recognizing that everyone's journey is different. So you're not going to be on the same path, even if you have been single the same amount of time as your friend or whatever the case may be. You're not going to be on the same journey. You're all going to take a different road. And then last time we talked about unlearning negative behavior, negative mindset. We get into a negative mindset, play those negative tapes, whether it's something we were told as a child, whether it's something that happened to us traumatic along the way that we've kind of absorbed and kind of beat ourselves up about. So today, which is actually my very favorite, is embracing your authenticity.
And so I love the progression of how far we've come, right? It's fun to look back and see what we've created so far with this series. And I mean, and just think about it, prior to these four podcasts, that part didn't even exist yet, which is so wonderful about how we're moving forward with trusting, right? Trusting yourself, with trusting your creation. And I love the part embracing authenticity. What does that mean?
Well, I think for a lot of people, being authentic is real, not fake, genuine. All the definitions that you think of about being authentic. And I think especially right now in our climate, and I think it's difficult for people to be themselves. I think whether it's a fear of rejection, they won't be accepted among their peer groups, or whether it's a fear of abandonment that you have left over from your childhood days. If I am authentic, if I really tell someone how I feel, then they're going to leave. They're going to not accept what I have to say. They're not going to agree with it, and they're going to leave. So then you deal with those abandonment issues as well. I think we're taught early on, for whatever reason, that expressing the realness, of yourself is something that's not accepted. It's not appreciated. It's not as valued. And I think there's a number of different reasons why we all tend to not put our best foot forward, or our authentic self forward. I know when you're in the corporate environment, a lot of times you may have an opinion about one thing or the other. And it's very difficult because maybe the place that you work doesn't share those same values. So then you find yourself really conforming to where you're working. Or if you have coworkers that maybe feel differently than you, whether it's religious, whether it's political, whether it's whatever it is, and nowadays in this climate, it is very, very different. You find yourself not being able to have authentic conversations. So you tend to hold back, you tend to stuff it, you tend to, not share as much. I think I learned probably during COVID more than anything, and that was right in the middle of my separation and divorce, that the more authentic I was, even with my coworkers who were younger, who were struggling during the COVID, situation, and would come to me and talk to me about various different scenarios, whether it was, vaccines, non-vaccines, going to work, not going to work, whatever their beliefs were, they really appreciated the authenticity. They really appreciated that I was going to give it to them straight. This may not be how you feel, but this is how I feel. And, take it with a grain of salt or not. But I think people really do. I think they crave authenticity. I think they really want to know deep down inside someone's closeness or their closest thoughts or things like that. But I think we shy away from that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's so big. I mean, when we look at the progression, the evolution of our humanity moving forward, because this is much more. Embracing Your Truest You series is much more than just a book. We're talking about really a movement because we want and need the true authentic expression of our humanity to be in love and to be with each other and to be of acceptance and to be the opposite of abandonment, to be the opposite of, not be disconnected and to not be, valued and accepted. I think that starting this out with your own inner circle is an important piece. Would you recommend that for people is to practice setting up their inner circle, who the five people are that are around them that they can practice with? What do you think about that?
I do, and I think a lot of times if you say back going back to trusting yourself and your gut instinct, say if there's something that rubbed you the wrong way or whatever about a friend, and you have this fear, I can't tell them, picking up the phone and just talking to them about it. None of this texting because everything gets lost in the black and white words, but picking up the phone and say, you know what, you said something and it just really hit me wrong, or I really didn't agree with that. And just being honest and kind of starting there with your inner circle. I know the few people that I have in my life that I can be, brutally honest with, I appreciate that. And I appreciate their honest feedback to say, oh, no, don't do that, or don't say that, or that doesn't sound right. I appreciate that. I appreciate even if it's not what I want to hear, even if I'm not in agreement, I'm grateful for the honest feedback. So I
Yeah,
think that that's important.
yeah. I mean, when we look at, how much we've been hiding, suppressing, holding back, and the more that we hold back and, put on a facade, that doesn't it's not true to our nature. It's not true to our evolution, which is why I think what you're doing with this is an important piece right now, and I think an important piece for years to come. Embracing your authenticity, embracing who you truly are. What does authenticity mean to you? Do you have any other you know tips or things that you would like to share with the audience, people that can practice being authentic?
One of the other things, and I was reading something about this the other day, was the fact that in order to overcome that, in order to overcome your fear of being authentic, you have to face the fear. That's the key, is facing it head on. And I think, like, I had a fear of heights, and so while I was in this process of healing, this process of living on my own, I did a lot of things to explore that. Set your goals small first. But I think that part of being your authentic self is practicing that and practicing it a little at a time and conquering those fears because it all stems from fear, not being yourself, not being true to who you are. All of those things stems from fear, whatever kind of fear it is.
Yeah, I think that's and fear. There's so much fear right now out there in the collective. I mean, it's so big. And if we all just practiced, right? Taking those little small steps, doing those little small things, that would change the world. I think we already have the solutions that we need
I
in
think,
order to heal the world, in order to love each other, in order to we already have them, right? We just need to, I mean, stop the fear.
that's right.
Yeah,
It's easier said than done, I know.
it is easier said than done because there's a lot attachments of, you know, if it's job related, if it's relationship related, it's difficult. But that's why I was thinking, having a small circle, who can you be authentic with and really cultivate that, and then the next person and the next person, because you're not going to get the whole world to agree with you, nor do you want to,
No,
right?
it would be
That
kind of
part is,
boring.
yeah, yeah. So, what else do you want to say to the audience before we wrap up this beautiful segment?
Well, I want you to continue to listen to these awesome podcasts because we're going to be going through all the way to 9. So I want to make sure that everyone stays tuned in to Cornelia's show because it's going to continue to evolve and continue to provide some great information and some tips on how you can be your authentic self.
Yeah. And then let's tell the audience right now, while we have everybody's attention, is to, get them already comfortable with reading your first book and where they can find that book. It's currently on Amazon, right?
It is. It's currently on Amazon, Shine Your Light. And also it is on my website as well. You can purchase it from there as well.
Okay, good. Let's give those links, the links for what's the name of your website? Resilient
My-resilient-journey.com.
my-resilient-journey.com. Yep. Resilient. I was thinking about that this morning, just how resilient, looking at my own family and just thinking about, gosh, we are certainly a resilient group, you
Right?
know. So it's definitely our humanity. We certainly are resilient and we can overcome those fears of whatever it is that we're facing right now, and we can do it. And like you said, just do it, right?
Be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself. Now, what are your social media handles?
Amy Deanne, AmeyDeannE on Instagram and Facebook, and Resilient TX on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Amy. I look forward to the next chapters unfolding. And I want to thank you, the audience, for listening and tuning in to the Cornelia Stephanie Show, everyone. And we'll see you again next Friday. Take care.